Weak transmission is not an issue in all places. It is important to state that most of the persons who are recognized as being weak in their transmission and are mentioned by Ibn Khaldun have also been accredited by others. In fact, even Ibn Khaldun mentions some of them. Moreover, the weakening of the transmission of a hadith does not have absolute preponderance over its being approved as reliable because special characterization is a subjective matter, whereas a certain characteristic of a tradition might render it a weak tradition in accord with one researcher, another investigator might find quite the opposite. Hence, the opinion of the former can be accepted only if the reason for rendering a tradition weak is made clear. In his Lisan al-mizan, Asqalani says, the weakening of the tradition assumes preponderance over its accreditation when the reason for doing so is made explicit. Otherwise, the opinion of the person rendering the tradition weak has no value. Abu Bakr Ahmad b. Ali al-Baghdadi writes, it must be pointed out that as for the traditions accepted in used as evidence by Bukhari, Muslim and Abu Dawud, although some of their transmitters have been criticized and have been declared unreliable, the reason for their criticism and unreliability has not been well established and proven by them. Moreover, he says, if weakness and reliability of a tradition are of equal weight, then its weakening is preponderant. However, if weakness is less obvious than reliability, then there could be varying opinions about that tradition. The best way to resolve this problem of authenticating a tradition is to say that if the reason for weakness is mentioned and if that reason is convincing, then weakness has preponderance over reliability. But if the reason is not mentioned, then reliability has preponderance over weakness. To be sure, we cannot generalize and state with absolute certainty that in all places of dispute over the reliability of a tradition, its being regarded as weak has preponderance over its being considered as reliable. If all points of weakness are made effective, then there would be very few traditions that would be spared from criticism. It is, therefore, important that in such cases careful analysis and rational evaluation are carried out to clarify the truth. Unreliable simply because of being Shi'i. Often a tradition is deemed weak because its transmitter is a Shi'i. For example, Ibn Khaldun rejected Khaldun b. Khalifa, one of the transmitters of the Mahdi traditions, because he was a Shi'i. In this connection he quotes Ijli saying that Khaldun was good in hadith, but he was somewhat inclined towards Shi'ism. Again, according to Ahmad b. Abd Allah b. Yunus and Abu Bakr b. Ayyash, Khaldun was unreliable and his traditions were rejected because of his corrupt beliefs. On the other hand, there were others like Ahmad b. Hanbal, Nasa'i, and so on, who accredited him and regarded his traditions reliable. Another transmitter by the name of Harun was also regarded as weak because, as Ibn Khaldun tells us, he and his sons were Shiites. Some hadith scholars regarded Yazid b. Abu Ziyad a weak transmitter because in Qat, he was the leader of the Shias in Qat, and that he was among the Shias of Kufa. Commenting on Amar al-Dahabi, Ibn Khaldun tells us that although prominent traditionists like Ahmad b. Hanbal, Nasa'i and others had regarded him reliable, Bishr b. Marwan, because of his Shi'ism, considered him weak. Also, Abd al-Razak b. Humam's traditions were regarded as weak because he narrated traditions relating the merits of the family of the Prophet and was famous for his Shi'ism. Content sources. Number 1. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Lisan al-Mizan, Volume 1, p. 25. Number 2. Ibn Khaldun, al-Muqaddimah, page 313. Number 3. Ibid, page 319.